Hi gang, Rob here. It is the afternoon of 7 July 2020. Coming to you this afternoon with a bit of a watch review. And for those of you who are watchaholics, horological enthusiasts, you recognize the packaging that you see in front of you. It all comes wrapped in this cardboard sleeve. Yes, it is from Zelos Watches, the brainchild and the craft of El Shantang in Singapore. Pretty neat little micro brand, I think. And we'll go through the packaging kind of quickly. Comes in this box, which is a hinged lid acacia wood box, I believe. Inside the box comes the pleather watch roll. Yes, pleather, not leather. So it's kind of neat. It's got 4 slots, a flap big enough to hold a large size watch, or up to 4 of them, depending on how you like to pack. Inside the roll, among the spare strap and the watch, comes this warranty card, which is 1 year. And the watch that we have in front of us today is this one. This is the Swordfish version 2 in midnight blue. It is a really, really neat watch, I think. It's a 300-meter diver. I don't know if my camera will focus on the red text below the word automatic, but that will tell you that. And it's really like nothing else. And let me tell you how I got this watch. I had a Horizons GMT version 2 from Zelos that I just didn't bond with. Legibility was an issue for me. The boxed sapphire crystal really wasn't my style. I loved the movement. It was the most accurate automatic watch that I owned. But I traded it for some cash and this watch. Really wasn't looking for a Swordfish. I was and am in the market for a blue automatic dive watch. So I've hung on to it for darn near a month, and I'm having a little bit of a hard time parting with it. I really, really like it. It's just not the blue diver that I want. So let's kind of run you through the particulars. As I said, 300-meter dive watch, screw-down crown, screw-down solid case back, 316L stainless steel case and bezel, and then it has a 2000 Vickers blue ceramic insert that is nicely engraved, and the engraving is filled with super luminova. It is a dual color lume setup. We'll get to that later. The bezel is fully lumed, and then of course all 3 hands are lumed, and then the markers, which aren't markers, they're actually holes. It's a sandwich dial, so that blue sunray, midnight blue sunray dial reveals in each marker cutout or index cutout a fully lumed disc underneath. Dimensions are 42 millimeters in diameter, excluding the crown guards. Lug width of 22, a lug-to-lug dimension of 48. So for a watch that's kind of chunky, it wears diminutively on the wrist as far as its footprint goes, which I think is pretty cool. 42 diameter, 48 lug-to-lug, and 22 on the lug width. Thickness is 13 millimeters. It kind of looks taller than that, but because it has a flat sapphire crystal, it's only 13. I was a little bit concerned about how I would like it, just because of the shape of the lugs. They don't have a graceful curve as they turn downward. They have a pretty sharp angle, but it makes the watch wear super fine on wrist. Case finish is a combination of brushing and polishing, and the polishing is very slight, only on the tops of the crown guards and not the bottoms. Those are brushed. And then the chamfers on the inside of the lugs are polished, and frankly, that little bit of polishing, along with the circular brushing on the very tops of the lugs and the edges of the bezel, just give it a little bit of light play, enough to make it interesting. I like it pretty well. I'm not a super big fan of vertical brushing on a watch case, but this is really well done. The bezel grip is sort of a large gear pattern, and it works well. 120 clicks on the bezel. It is super positive. I wouldn't say it's difficult to turn, but it's firm. Good sound. And perfect bezel alignment. The ceramic insert is kind of a slate blue. In some pictures that I've seen, it looked almost like a periwinkle, but it's not that, and I don't know how it's going to show up on this video, but it really, really goes well with that midnight blue dial, and it sort of makes the watch want a brown strap, which I think is kind of cool. It works great on black as well. Let's come in a little closer and get you some shots of that dial. It is super well done. The Zelos maker's mark or signature is applied in a polished logo. The sunray effect is gorgeous. The minute track and the seconds hand are the BGW9 Superluminova, that sort of cyan blue color, and then the C3 is everything else. And I'll throw in a loom shot for you now. Isn't that gorgeous? The watch is an absolute flashlight. So you can see the more blue cast to the minute track and the seconds hand, and then the more green cast to everything else. And boy, does it hang on. When I was on vacation in Tennessee last week, I had this watch with me, and I went to bed about 10:30 one night and woke up at about 5, and it wasn't a flashlight at that point, but after 7 hours in the dark, I could still read the time, so that's pretty good loom. The handset is, I think, one of the better handsets that Zelos has done. They're very much vintage dive watch inspired hands, very fat, but tapering at the end. The minute hand stops just short of the minute track, so it does not obscure any of the indices on the minute track. Very easy to be precise about reading your time. And I love how the minute hand has sort of a truncated cathedral style, or a straightened out cathedral. It's very, very interesting. Truncated triangles, I guess, sort of wedges, with a double at the 12 o'clock position, and then a wider wedge at 3, 6, and 9. I love the seconds hand with the loom pip kind of back from the end of the hand, and then that red tip makes it super easy to read. Just a super handsome watch. It's very hard to stop looking at. It is one of those watches to my eye that I've looked at the watch to read the time and gotten so enamored with the watch that I find myself looking away, and I still haven't bothered to see what time it is. Yeah, it's that good looking. So the movement on the Swordfish version 2 comes in 2 flavors. This one, the no date version, is the Seiko NH35. Of course, that is the available for sale version of the 4R36 movement from Seiko. That's the hacking and hand winding, sort of refined and more complicated descendant of the 7S26. I find this to be one of the more accurate NH35 movements that I've had in my possession. It runs in reality, not on a time grapher, but during daily wear, about 8 to 9 seconds fast per day, which is an error or a deviation that I really don't mind. If I'm wearing a mechanical watch, if I wear it every day, I'm probably setting it every morning anyway. And if I'm putting it away for a few days, I'm going to wind it and set it. So if it is a daily wear watch for me, I like it to be more than 5 seconds fast, because that gives me time to hack it, let my reference time catch up, make sure my minute hand is aligned, and then put it back in gear. So it's kind of a very manageable time deviation on this one. And let's see, bracelets and straps. The version 2, at least this particular one, came with this gorgeous 22 millimeter Horween strap. Horween leather made in USA, says the stamp. And then the Zelos signature over here on the short side. Pretty nice, and these, as you guys know, they wear and patina, and this has got a little bit of buckle patina, some keeper patina. I believe I'm the second owner, and I believe the first owner wore it primarily on this strap. I did not. I have about a 7 1/8 inch wrist, and I think I was in the second to last hole. It's just a little larger than I like, and I put it on a NATO that I converted to a Zulu. And then it also ships on bracelet. And the version 2 bracelet has great drape, solid end links. This does have the shorty clasp that a lot of people kind of complained about, but it is a fully milled setup. You will have to, if you have hands that are large for your wrist size, it's a little difficult getting it over the hand once it's sized. Been plenty of information on the internet about that, but I believe there is a large clasp available if you write to Elshan. He'll send you the larger updated clasp. It's a finely made bracelet. It comes with screw links. Let me get you to the slotted side so you can see that. There you go. Four micro adjusts. It's got the fold over safety, and then the dual pusher clasp, satisfying clicks. I could deal with the shorty clasp, but I didn't wear this on the bracelet. I'm just not a fan of the flat sort of geometric links. I sort of prefer like an oyster style link a little more than this, but it kind of goes with the geometric shape of the watch case. You know, it's a pretty angular watch case, so angular links make sense. The date version of the Swordfish version 2 has the ETA 2892 Elabore movement, which is basically the same movement that the Horizons had with the GMT complication added. That's going to come with a date window at 6 o'clock, color matched. Those are super fine movements, and I think whereas the NH35 equipped Swordfish sold at $349, I think the ETA watches were over $600. Just a more expensive, more precise movement. Let's look at the crown action on this. Threads are very smooth. You get a nice satisfying pop to the winding position. One click out does nothing. Remember, the 4R or NH movement is essentially a date movement. This has the date function removed, and then when you pull it all the way out, you're going to hack for time setting. Very smooth. The hand winding, probably the nicest 4R or NH winding action I've felt. Super solid crown. It's got a little tiny bit of movement, but nothing bad. And very easy to grab threads. No need to Rotate it backwards, it just finds them and rotates in smoothly. Very, very nicely done. So for a sapphire crystalled, ceramic bezeled, sandwich dial diver with a 300-meter water resistance rating, with the hacking and hand winding squared away, automatic movement, pretty hard to beat, $349. This one, I'm making the video after I sold it. This watch is going to ship up to Michigan to my friend and customer Howard, who purchased it out of last week's knife sale. Howard is more of a micro brand guy than I am, so he's going to be the proud papa of this Swordfish version too. Just thought you guys would like to see it before it heads out. This watch was available in many, many variations. It came in stainless cased versions, bronze cased versions, with sunray dials, as you see here, a fully loomed dial, and then a helical pattern dial, as well as some meteorite. So, they all sold out quickly, as most of Elshan's drops do. But keep your eye on the Zelos brand, guys. Lots of good stuff happening, and they make great efforts coming out of the box. They take customer suggestions to heart. They implement them in subsequent versions. It's just a cool little company. I really like them. That's all for this one. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Remember, the word is sharp, and the Lord is always right on time.